Hello everyone, my name is Jeffrey Sr. I am a former professional ballet dancer, and I'm actually going to discuss tonight with you guys racism in ballet and where we're currently at and what we need to do to move forward so that we can actually say that we're in support of Black Lives Matter as artists. When I first started to write about my experiences of racism in different ballet institutions, it brought back a lot of emotions that I felt like I thought I've dealt with from what I considered to be my early adulthood. And I've taken accountability for that. And I've also accepted the fact that a lot of these institutions probably won't take accountability for different acts of racism, but I've also became okay with that. When I got really upset, it was when I saw different ballet companies and institutions actually posting little black boxes to support Black Lives Matter. It was really devastating because throughout my career, racism has been prevalent. It has showed me that I'm going to have to deal with several different emotional triggers throughout my life because of what I've experienced in ballet. Ballet has showed me for the Black dancer that ballet can be oppressive, relentlessly depressing, and above all else, it could be traumatizing. All three of these factors I've carried with me for the last 10 years of my life, and I've been dealing with them, and it all stemmed from one experience in Ballet Theatre of Maryland. It was my first ballet company, and I was eager to get there, ready to learn. But when I got there, I was met with different attacks of cruelty and belittlement from mainly my ballet master named Josh. He was somebody that I thought I could look to for support and inspiration, but he, in return, made me feel like there was no place for someone like me in his company. And for 2 seasons, I endured Josh's wrath of endless temper tantrums. And he would verbally crucify me in front of every company member down to the artistic director, Diana. Their silence made the environment in the room for me so small, but as somebody being 20 years old going into that environment, it made me also realize that maybe you need to start learning accountability early, and maybe this isn't for you. Maybe your talent level just isn't there, and Josh is pushing you to be a better dancer. Josh would single me out rehearsal after rehearsal. At first, I really did genuinely think he wanted to help me, but then I realized he was doing it out of amusement and to get a laugh. And to this day, I still feel his eyes just looking at me with disgust, just blaring in my ear. And his chuckle served as almost an alarm to me, literally sending chills down my spine before I dance. And people who don't understand what it's like to be in a room full of people that are of different color of you, it feels like sometimes everything is enhanced. And that might be also my personal experience. But for me, one of the worst things that he did was one of the nicknames that he gave me. And it was 50 Cent, not 50 Cent or 50 cents, the actual right way to say it. It was 50 Cent, the ghetto way to say it. And throughout the years, because of those jokes, I've worked extremely hard to fight different stereotypes about assuming that all Black people are ghetto and assuming that all Black people have to be ratchet. That's just a stereotype. Just because people have fun in different ways doesn't mean that they're a certain way. Another incident, just to even go into detail, is I had a huge tear in my tights before a school show. And what we do, or what I was always taught, is if you have a tear, it's best to color it in or change your tights. Sew it up quickly if you can. Sharpie to start coloring it in. And there was a huge hole, and he basically walks up to me. He's like, "You don't need to color that in. You're Black enough. You're so dark that nobody will ever notice." And it wasn't just the tone that he said it. It was also, again, that chuckle at the end. And for that, at that particular time, and that particular moment, it dawned on me that this situation was bigger than somebody judging me solely on my talent. This situation, this person in power was judging me based off my skin color. And he was getting amusement out of it. And he was getting amusement out of me trying to climb up a hill that I could never, ever make it up. That wasn't even the worst of it. That was just the peak of it. And that's what I feel at this moment comfortable discussing. But what ended up happening with him is, through his relentless quest to get me to quit ballet or quit this ballet company, my second season, he ended up getting fired. When I saw that happening, I walked up to him and I actually shook his hand. And everybody that was in my ballet company was looking at me out of astonishment, because why do you go up to a man that's made your life so hard and so difficult and shake his hand? And to a certain extent, I had to thank Josh, because through him showing me cruelty and belittlement, he made me prepared for what being a professional Black ballet dancer entails having skin so thick that no one can penetrate it to the point that you're off your game. And that's something that I think that all Black dancers at a certain point in your career, you have to accept, because you have to be so good that they have to choose you. And that's a metaphor that we've used since before I've even been in ballet. And it might not come to a shock to a lot of people that ballet is basically for the rich white elite, but ballet has always been for the rich white elite, and I should have expected some of the treatment I got. Some people might think like that. In the past, there's been no place for dancers of color, so it's, again, might not be shocking to some people that I've experienced these incidents in several different companies. It wasn't even until 1982 that we got our first principal dancer, and that was in PA Ballet. And I think that it wasn't even until 1969 that Arthur Mitchell started or established the Dance Theatre of Harlem. You know, even with the history of ballet, Arthur Mitchell was somebody that was a revolutionary, because he actually went and took partnering classes with people like George Balanchine and utilized the talents and the knowledge that they gave him and brought it back to the Black community, as he should have. Because as most people know, a lot of Black dancers were not allowed to take certain classes. We also had several revolutionary ballerinas, like we have Raven Wilkinson, Janet Collins, Aisha Ash. We have also had Lauren Anderson revolutionize the ballet world as we know it and become international principals in their own right. I mean, it's sad to me that we're still having this conversation about color and ballet, because it's 2020. I mean, granted, it was only 38 years ago we got our first principal, but we should be doing better. Why has it taken ABT so long to promote someone like Missy Copeland, who has been just as good as some of the other principals? Granted, that's not my decision to make, but these are questions that we need to start here asking as a community. Why is it taking so long for women of color to get promoted? Why is it that African-American male ballet dancers are doing the same roles and not given a lot of more princely roles or lyrical roles? Why are we viewed as one-dimensional? And I don't think that it's okay for ballet to sit here and get to dictate or get to use Blackness as trinkets or jewels to belittle a tutu. My Blackness isn't a trinket for ballet to wear and put on when they feel like it's trending. And it's disappointing that these companies didn't even know better to do that. And it showcases where we're at in ballet, that you didn't know better to do something like that, or would even be aware that this could hurt dancers of color when you don't sit down and post them all over instead of posting tiny black boxes. We could be posting dancers of color, and we could be interviewing them right now to discuss how they feel about things that they're seeing. I haven't seen these companies sit down for weeks at a time and interview all their dancers of color. It might be because you might not have any. What you need to do is sit down with those students in your school and maybe let them voice their opinions, whether it be on social media, whether it be in an open forum, but it needs to happen in the ballet community, because if I'm one person and I've been in it for 10 years and was experiencing this amount of racism, I know there's people that have been in this world for 30 years that have experienced more. And until we do better, we can't sit up here and continue to join trends. It's very imperative to me that I start a project within my own community right now, aside from ballet, because I think my community needs me more at this moment than ballet. But that's not going to stop me from holding ballet accountable for the fact that it has been a racist art form for generations upon generations, and it has to stop. If you guys are allowing children of color into your institution, do not put limitations onto how far those students of color can go within your institution. If you have an institution where there's women of color and none of them have made it into a professional career, that's a problem. If you're in an institution where you have men of color and none of them have made it into a professional career, that's a problem. If you have kids of color and you're telling them that they can't ever do Clara, if they can't ever be Fritz, or they can't ever be a Cavalier, that's a problem. Everybody should be able to utilize their talents to get roles or to level up. Color should never be a dictation, especially in the ballet world, of if you can get a part. Or color should never be a factor to a lot of these artistic directors to be scared to promote someone of color. Just because you're scared that you won't get a grant or you're scared that you won't get donations from specific people, it doesn't justify not giving that person the opportunity when they've worked for it, whether it be in this venue or another. It does not justify it. And I think that is very imperative for me that I say this as a man of color to all my friends and to all of my family in the ballet world, that we're not okay and we're not exempt from being accountable for things that we've done wrong in the past and now. And I think it first starts by realizing that those little black squares are trinkets of color, and we need to take them off if we can't sit there and appreciate the Black community that we have. We need to start really blasting and promoting the Black ballerina from this day forward. Until we can calm down and move forward, we need to do that. We need to heal the Black community in that manner. We need to show Black women that you can be princesses and you can be queens. And we need to show our men that we can be kings and we can be princes too, whether it be on stage or whether it be in real life. And it's imperative to me, again, that I do this because this is my community and I am responsible for how you portray my color. And I'm not going to sit here and idly support you guys posting things when you should be posting actual pictures of ballerinas and saying we support you. You should be posting actual interviews asking these ballerinas how they feel. You should be trying to get in contact with some of these women that have seen different things that colored dancers have endured that they might not have been comfortable with. I'm gonna leave you with this. If you can post a Black square, then you can post a Black ballerina. And if you don't have one in your company, then you probably should take that square off because that's telling you something about your company.